Okay, so today we'll be studying about the indigenous Texans of the Western Gulf culture area. So scholars will be able to explain the Karankawas and the Coahuiltecanc way of life and how it was influenced by their natural environment. Main ideas. The Karankawas who lived along the Gulf Coast hunted and gathered plants to survive. The Coahuiltecans lived in dry southern Texas. Essential questions. How did the environment affect the lifestyle of the Karankawas and the Coahuiltecans? What was the impact of European contact on the Karakawas? What do you think prompted many Native American tribal groups to migrate seasonally? All right, so important vocabulary. We have hunter-gatherers. Hunter-gatherers are people who hunt wild animals and gather plants for food. You have nomads. Nomads are people who move from place to place. You have wigwams. These are portable huts. The last one is mitotis. These are celebrations or feasts that lasted all night long. The Karankawas. On the map is the location of the Karakawa territory of the Karakawa people. The Karakawa was a group of indigenous people that lived near present-day Galveston, south to Corpus Christi Bay. The Karankawas were hunter-gatherers and a nomadic group of people. They hunted wild animals and gathered plants for food. Their diet consisted of fish, sea turtles, sailfish, eggs, deer, and other small animals. Karankawas, they were nomads because they changed locations with the seasons. When fish was plentiful during the fall and winter, they lived along the Gulf Coast. They hunted with large wooden bow and arrows. It's important for students to understand that the Karakawas were nomadic because they followed their prey. They followed the game. So wherever their major game moved, they followed and moved along with that. They also made moves to escape the winter. So as it got colder, they moved further south. The Karankawas. This group of people lived in a warm and mild climate. They didn't wear much clothing. Men and women wore deerskin and grass skirts. They also were known to paint themselves bright colors. They used alligator fat and dirt to keep insects away. Most of the Karakawas eventually died when they were exposed to European diseases. So when the Karakawas started to meet the Spaniards brought with them diseases, and those diseases killed off the Karakawa. By the mid-1800s, there were little to no Karakawas left. The next group is the Coahuiltecans. They lived in southern Texas and northern Mexico. On a map, it shows you the Coahuiltecan Empire, where they the region that they lived in. So the Coahuiltecans aren't a single group of people, but many tribes that lived in proximity and would group and band together to protect themselves against other larger tribes. They also moved with the seasons. So they were also nomadic, and they moved according to the seasons, as well as because they were hunter-gatherers, they followed their prey also. They used bow and arrows to hunt. The Coahuiltecans also had stone hammers and knives, which they used to hollow out foods like melons and squash. Both men and women wore little to no clothing because they lived in a warm climate. Excuse that, that's incorrect. It is, they lived in a warm climate, not a cold climate. They wore grass and deerskin skirts. The men and women were known for wearing long hair, which hung to their waist. In Coahuiltecan culture, that was something that was very unique. It's called mitotis. The mitotis were celebrations. So these were Native American celebrations where they partied. They started doing midday and they could party all night long. They celebrated major events such as religious ceremonies, victories, and battles. And then they got, or just being able to gather plentiful food. Eventually, both groups would end up coming into contact with Europeans, but as far as the Coahuiltecans, they died from the European disease. Many of them faced attack from the Apaches, who were driven into the Coahuiltecan territory. Most died off, but those that didn't assimilated or abandoned their traditional way of life and embrace Spanish culture. So when you assimilate, that means that you give up your culture and you begin to follow the ways of an outside group of people. And that's it. Use this video to complete your assignment.